Namaskar. My heartfelt gratitude to all of you for being here. And the chosen prayer for today is the prayer written by the mother on May 23rd, 1914. And the title, which to my limited mind emerged, was Thy Love. The mother and Sri Aurobindo devoted their entire life to the upliftment of humanity and raising the earth consciousness. They initiated the crowning movement, that is the descent of the supramental. When we read their works, we come into direct contact with their consciousness, either through images or through thoughts or by actions sometimes veiled or unveiled, awakening of the psychic being. The words in this divine book, Prayers and Meditations, they are not mere words. They are living words, words which carry the profound power of the mother's own experiences and realizations. In this prayer, Thy Love, May 23rd, 1914, the prayer is a very intense prayer, wherein she is ardently aspiring to become the divine love. Now, one has to understand that she herself is the divine. She is the divine mother, but in the human poise. So in the human presence, she is aspiring to become the divine love, wants to be totally consumed by it, so much so that she feels complete and luminous and is able to radiate this entire divine love from her own body. Nothing can be more profound, and it just captures you. Love has got the power to transfigure, transmute, transform. All powers lie in the love. And this prayer in the Prayers and Meditations is perhaps It is one of those prayers which perhaps best explains love. Love in its essence as the joy of identity and its ultimate expression in the bliss of union. The prayer is resonating, reverberating, pulsating with her divine love actually, reaching out in torrents. Like a child, when I first read the prayer, I was dumbstruck. And the only thought which was coming to my mind was a prayer where the mother is pouring out so much of love into words. The word love has occurred in this prayer 19 to 20 times. Thy love. So it fills you up. If you concentrate on this prayer for a little bit, it will just fill you up with the immense love that she's pouring out. Let us read the prayer. May 23rd, 1914. O Lord, Thou of whom I would be constantly conscious and whom I would realize in the smallest cells of my being, Thou whom I would know as myself and see manifested in all things, Thou who art the sole reality, the sole cause and aim of existence, grant that my love for Thee may grow ever greater, so that I may be all love, Thy love itself, and that, being Thy love, I may unite integrally with Thee. May this love grow more and more intense, complete, luminous, powerful. May this love become an irresistible urge towards Thee, the invincible means of manifesting Thee. May everything in this being become pure, profound, disinterested, divine love, from the unfathomable depths to the outermost substance. May the God with form who manifests in this aggregate be entirely molded from Thy complete and sublime love, the love which at once is the source and realization of all knowledge. May thought be clarified, organized, enlightened, transformed by Thy love. May all the life forces, solely impregnated by Thy love and molded from it, draw from it irresistible purity and constant energy, power and rectitude. May this weakened intermediary being take advantage of its weakness to reconstitute itself with elements entirely molded from thy love. And may this body, now a burning brazier, radiate thy divine, impersonal, sublime, and calm love from every pore. May the brain be reconstituted by thy love. Lastly, may thy love overflow, flood, penetrate, transfigure, regenerate, animate all things with the power, the splendor, the sweetness, and force which are its very own. In thy love is peace. In thy love is joy. In thy love is thy servitor's sovereign lever of work. Thy love is vaster than the universe and more lasting than all ages. It is infinite, eternal. It is thyself, and it is thyself I want to be, and that I am. For such is thy law, such is thy will. So, as I said, the prayer is totally resonating with her aspiration to become this love and radiate this sublime love, which has the power to transform instantly and animate all things. Let us read this prayer in parts and feel her love evermore. She says, O Lord, thou of whom I would be constantly conscious and whom I would realize in the smallest cells of my being, thou whom I would know as myself and see manifested in all things, thou who art the sole reality, the sole cause and aim of existence, grant that my love for thee may grow ever greater, so that I may be all love, thy love itself, and that, being thy love, I may unite integrally with thee. The very first opening sentence, full of love. The mother has realized the soul reality, which is beyond the senses, beyond everything. She has realized the infinite. She is one with the supreme consciousness. Yet, she doesn't want to stop only with this realization. The realization has to stay and manifest into something greater. She wants this love. She wants to totally become this love and unite integrally, not in parts, not in only the senses or the body. In everything she wants to unite. So there is an integral love, integral unity that she is seeking by becoming this love. And she is asking for love. You see, when we speak to people and when we ask them, what do you want in life? Mostly, we will hear the answer, we want knowledge. Because there is such a mad rush for knowledge, attaining knowledge, from whichever way possible. So much of talk about how much I know, how much you know, and so much of discussion about attaining knowledge and learning. Then another thing people ask for is power, because power empowers them with cushy jobs, ambitions, fulfills their dreams, and so on. One wonders, what is love doing here? Why is it here? So in creation, we hear it often, it is the undercurrent of life, but what does it do? We pride ourselves in being mentalized human beings, the highest till now on the evolutionary ladder. But there is a kind of humanity that has developed, suppressing this element of love and grandly expanding on the elements of power and knowledge. Yes, power and knowledge will help us definitely. But so much so, doesn't it talk about our own utilitarian approach towards life? We hear big words, yes, and they describe power and the divine's power and the divine's knowledge quite well. Omniscient, omnipotence. Wonder why there is no word which fills up love, fills up wholly the love, totally the love which the divine has and which the divine is pouring. As maybe we don't have the vocabulary to express it. And one is reminded of the very beautiful lines of a song, सिर्फ एहसास है ये रूह से महसूस करो, प्यार को प्यार ही रहने दो, कोई नाम ना दो. So let us not get into that name game and how mighty the words can be. But unfortunately, the humanity that is developing around or has developed till now around power and knowledge is what the scriptures describe as an asuric humanity. What is an asur? Asur will have power, will have knowledge, but what is lacking is love. So much of destruction, so much of massacre, thousands of years, this element has been suppressed, and the result, 2 great world wars, and so much of gruesome and so much of debasement, and you can say the falling down of the consciousness has happened. Yet the world has not gone to blazes. And the mother says, without love, the world would have gone to blazes. Because it is love that holds the world together. It holds the creation together. It is love that aspires even in an atom. Scientists will say, they will talk about covalent bond, ionic bond. The electron is moving in a space around the nucleus. What is keeping it in its place? What is that attraction that it is having? Why is it an atom? And how does it unite with other atoms to form splendid beings? So science is very limited in this. But love is something, however distorted, however debased, reflected, deflected, refracted, is the very sap of existence. And it is love that takes us through the doors, passing through which we will encounter the most fascinating, the most magnificent aspect of the divine, the delight, the ananda. So how did love come into existence? We know that the divine is all-knowing, all-powerful. So whatever knowledge was required, it was there. And the power also to create it was there. But when creation started, and from the all-contained consciousness, when it was decided to just throw out this consciousness, make it many in multiplicity, something went wrong. And the whole of the creation plunged into inconscience. What went wrong? Creation is about multiplicity, yes, many, many beings. And we have to understand these beings as a presence, as being there, not in terms of bodies here. So much of emanations were taking place, one supreme contained consciousness becoming many. And each of these beings represented some aspect of the divine. And as they started emanating, there was a kind of a separativeness, which when they were drawing out from the superconscious. And each started feeling or believing or in themselves, there was an involution that I am very important and I can do everything. So in this whole process of involution, the inconscient emerged. So one also needs to understand the inconscient, that means is also emerging from the divine. But there was when this thing happened and when this thing separated and the whole creation fell into the mud of inconscience, there was a cry from there. There was a call to save. And the power that leaped out from the heart of the supreme consciousness, the all-contained supreme consciousness, burst forth, leaped, and that became the savior. That is the power of love. It also plunged into inconscience. So love is a kind of a bridge that has been formed. So what has been projected into space has to come back to itself without, however, annihilating the universe which had already been created. So love burst forth and the irresistible burst forth to have, there was this irresistible power of union that God created. It was a cry, it was a savior. And then began the awakening, the slow ascent of the matter erupting and formation of matter, slow ascension, and then the process of evolution started. So it is love which from the darkest inconscience is pulling everything towards that oneness. And this entire movement of self-giving, totally to bring back everything in that bliss of union, this power of self-giving, absolute self-giving, is the power of love. And it is the mother. She is the divine savior. She is love. The mother somewhere says, consciousness indeed is the creatrix of the universe, but love is its savior. Love is in the words of the mother again, in its essence, it is the joy of identity, and it finds its ultimate expression in the bliss of union. And between this joy of identity and the bliss of union lies all phases of the universal manifestation. So many of the mystics, occultists, philosophers, they have tried to explain what love is. And the mother very simply, very beautifully, and in such a lucid way, she explains it as love being composed of two movements. And these two they are the complementary poles. There is this urge towards complete oneness, she says. There is an urge towards complete oneness. So love is basically made up of two movements. On one hand, there is the supreme power of attraction. So this urge has got two poles. One is the supreme power of attraction, and the other movement is the irresistible need for absolute self-giving. So no other movement could have bridged this abyss which was created when the superconscient or the all-consciousness decided to and plunged into the inconscient. So love is the bridge. Now this power of attraction and this absolute self-giving can be explained very well if we just look at the Krishna Leela. The word Krishna, the origin is Akarshan. Krishna, Akarshan. Yes, it also means black because black absorbs everything maybe, yes. But the root word is Akarshan. And from this word, if we look at the Krishna Leela, the gopis are there. They are actually the symbolic of the elevated souls. Krishna plays his flute. The sound of the flute is the awakening of the consciousness, of the psychic being coming in front. So they are elevated souls. The gopis, they are churning the milk, and milk again is symbolic of something more. We will digress from the topic if we talk about that. It's consciousness. And then the makhan comes, and then the ghee comes. But the gopis are so enchanted, with the enchanting sound of the flute draws them to find Krishna. So they leave all their work and they move towards wherever that flute is calling them and leading them to. So they enter the forest. Forest is again creation, symbolic. And while they are searching for him, they get tired and they want to refresh themselves. So they decide to take a bath. So same thing also happens in our lives, everybody's lives, no? Even if we are seeking, then we get tired and we want to, we get a little waylaid. So they want to rest, they want to refresh themselves, so they decide to go into the river, and Krishna, he steals their clothes. And the clothes are symbolic of the virtues. And then the gopis are ashamed. They are bad. They can't face the Lord. But then again, the cry of the flute and the love for the Lord is so much that they join their hands in adoration and say, oh, and then they are ready to come out of the water even. And that's when Krishna returns the clothes. So it is in the path of sadhana, the sadhana is like that, the virtues, they also can be a very big obstacle in the path. It is most difficult to let go of the virtues and lay bare. The mother somewhere has said that I don't want you to come to me with angelic faces. Come to me as you are, because then I will be able to work on you far better. Otherwise, I will have to snatch away those virtues. And then there will be a lot of pain for you. If you come to me as you are, I can do my work much faster in you. So then the story doesn't stop here. So of course their virtues gone. They are absolutely as they are. They stand in front of the Lord, and then they reach the heart of the sacred grove where begins the Maharas, the delight, the dance of delight. And each gopi, each soul in union dances, feels that bliss, feels that delight with the Lord. The Lord is enjoying the bliss uniquely and wholly with each one. It is not that one part of Krishna is, with one gopi and the other. No, it's not like that. He is unique and he is whole, totally. And this is the Maharaj, the Maha delight. So, once a disciple had done something wrong in the ashram, I'm talking of the Pondicherry ashram, and he doesn't want to he's feeling a little uncomfortable going to the mother, but yet he manages to meet the mother, and somehow he's able to push this wrong from his mind and senses and all. He goes and presents himself before the mother, and then mother blesses him. Mother is all love, so she embraces him and everything is fine. He comes out and she couldn't make out or something. A few days later he has to again go and meet her. So there are few number of times he's able to do this, hide his whatever, this, and he goes with this angelic. But later on it is bothering him so much he can't take it anymore. He goes to the mother and says, "Mother, I have wronged. I have done something wrong. I just want to confess. I want to tell you this." And the mother in all smiles and in her own beautiful way, full of love, she says, "Yes, I know, my child. I saw it the very first time peeping from behind you. And it was there, I saw it." And then then he's again full of love. So virtues, yeah. If Lord takes away our sins, it is good. We will give up. Paap le liye, paap dho dale. But virtues, it's difficult. There is an aphorism of Sri Aurobindo. "My lover took away my robe of sin and I let it fall rejoicing. Then he plucked at my robe of virtue, but I was ashamed and alarmed and prevented him." Our virtues only there are barriers. "It was not till he wrested it from me by force that I saw how my soul had been hidden from me." So this is the veil of virtues. And in this prayer now, back to the prayer now, the next part of the prayer, Mother says, "May this love grow more and more intense, complete, luminous, powerful. May this love become an irresistible urge towards thee, the invincible means of manifesting thee." The urge, as we understand, as the urge of absolute, self-giving. So the cry of love is that it yearns. It yearns for that perfect state, that perfect happiness, or maybe perfect union. And it wants to manifest itself in an ideal state. This yearning is born in the human consciousness, maybe it is actually the power of the love which is creating this yearning for justice, equality, the world being one, whatever, save the environment and all that. And this is something that somewhere the mother has called as the magic effect of love. Each time an individual breaks over his limitations of his little self-ego and rises through self-giving for a greater cause, be it freedom, be it anything, patriotism, anything. And there is, at this time, when he does that, he invariably experiences a foretaste of the marvelous delight, the marvelous divine delight. And but most often it is only it is very short-lived. Even when this union is there, even when this love is there, even between two people or for something, for an animal or for a tree, it is short-lived, because love has been degraded so much on this earth that to find its true expression, it takes a lot of time. So most often than not, it is actually, it is very fleeting, it is very short-lived. Even in the best of the cases, we all have heard of the story of Romeo Juliet, Shiri Farhad, and they die. Love is there, very powerful love is there, but ultimately what happens? Die. So in Savitri, interestingly, in the debate of love and death, where Savitri is arguing with the god of death poses this as a way to take her, to convince her that okay, now you let go of the soul. He says, for love to be immortal, Satyavan must die. And we all have seen that movie, I think, Titanic, a very beautiful story about love between two young people. And finally, there in an interview, when the makers of the film were questioned, they said that we had the choice of making this boy live or we had the choice of making him die. So we chose to make him die so that this moment of love can get crystallized. And yet, yes, indeed it did. For the female protagonist of this, it is a real story. So that became that this boy giving up his life and teaching her everything about life by doing so, it becomes an inspiration for her till the end, and she realizes this. So for love to be crystallized, that moment to be crystallized, somebody has to die. But then Savitri, she tells the Lord of Death, not in these exact words, but yours is the power that slays, but I carry that love that can save. So there is also, we often talk of the labor of love. Why is it a labor of love? It is difficult. But love is something that it is that element which is willing to go to any extent. It can go to any extent of sacrifice. Why? Because love gives itself, and it gives itself for a greater truth. It is that mysterious element, that spontaneous delight that emerges, So love seeks union, but not only union, it seeks intensity. Not only intensity, it seeks eternity. Because we are seeking and pining for this love and this return from external sources, from finite objects, whether it is ice cream or whether it is whatever we say, we love ice cream, we love this, we love that. We are seeking from limited finite objects. But love is in everyone and everything, but when we want love from finite objects, so finite love means it is going to have a term and an end. However hard you try, after some time it will turn into drudgery, it will turn mechanical, it will turn boring, whatever it is. So when we love a finite object and it moves towards finite things, it undergoes a gradation. Again explained very beautifully. Initially it is the love for the self, the desire self, where it only is seeking love, and it doesn't want to give anything. It is seeking, mera yahan se fayda hoga. So, that kind of love. And in the absence of, if the profit is not there, the gain is not there, love also disappears. Then second comes a feeling of community, my family, community and group and all. So yes, I am ready to initiate that love. I can take care of you as a clan, I will look after you and all. But you have to respect me, you have to bow down to me. So I still want that return. And the third is, when we love, we don't want any return. We are okay loving the person or whatever it is. And we are not expecting any return, but yet time to time we want a small appreciation. Yeah, okay. That you are great. A little bit of it is still there. This is still a higher form of love only. It's not, it has grown. But after this, what is the stage? One loves because one can't help it. And one just loves, just gives. That is the ultimate stage. And such is the divine love. So it is a well-known fact that one grows into the likeness of what one loves. So we want to become like the divine? Love the divine. Love for the divine is the way. And the next part of the prayer says, may everything in this being become pure, profound, disinterested, divine love, from the unfathomable depths to the outermost substance. Disinterested meaning it is not expecting any returns or gains. Okay. She goes on to say, may the God with form who manifests in this aggregate be entirely molded from thy complete and sublime love, the love which is at once the source and the realization of all knowledge. So, how can we get completely molded by this divine love? How do we arrive at this stage? We can't arrive at it by a stepwise process, one step and then step and then step. No. Either we wait for the completion of the evolution, let evolution take its place so that it actually becomes a part of our integral part of our nature to love. Yes, we will arrive at that stage. That stage will also come, even if we don't make any effort. It is going to come. But it is a very, very long process, a long wait. And the simple and the most direct way is that turn all this energy of yearning, all this self-giving towards the divine. in a movement, very well-known movement, bhakti. It is when all these emotions which are now scattered and we are seeking them from different, we are feeling them, seeking them, want to give, want to receive, whatever is the feeling, it is all scattered. So and so is my father, so and so is my mother, brother, sister, paramour, lover. We are seeking love, or each one in its own way. And when the divine becomes the mother, father, lover, whatever, beloved, and so when that thing happens, there all that thing that is scattered, in different ways, in different poises, you can say love is scattered in the form of emotions, vital feelings, whatever it is. There is a narrowing now. Everything starts turning towards the divine. This is the bhakti movement. This is the movement of bhakti. It starts turning towards the divine, and as it starts turning towards the divine, we start feeling so grateful when we see that person, when we see that pet, we see the tree, we see the plants, we start feeling so much of gratitude. It is there in our life, and it is thou I'm seeing in this. It is the divine. When you start loving the self in the another person or another object, then it is this, you can feel that gratitude. And once this, there is a thin line of difference between love and gratitude. Gratitude is love mixed with a little earthiness of love. Earthiness, you can say. And it is also a movement which takes you upward. Okay. And what happens in this movement, when this narrowing is what happens, we turn towards that which is the hub of everything. And what is this source, this hub of everything? It is in us, it is the psychic being. It is all love. It smiles at everybody. It wants to come out. It is the spark of the divine love. But it wants to touch every part of you. It is ready. And as we let more and more of the psychic being, as it emerges more and more, comes in front and takes charge of our, we let it take charge of our life, we'll feel more and more love in everything around us. So there is and human beings have got this capacity of loving intensely like that. It can turn into divine love. That is the connection. That is the bridge now. Now, we are in that stage of evolution where we can make this psychic being grow consciously, deliberate. The movement of evolution can become conscious and deliberate, and it can speed up the entire thing. But that love that the psychic being is carrying, it has to be now, there has to be an outpouring around, outpouring within, outpouring in the horizontal way and upward rising. So there is an aspiration and there is a flowing out, and all these movements, the human being is capable of doing this because of the psychic being. Even the gods don't have the psychic being. If they want to experience love and if they have to travel and have this experience, they have to take birth. And there is a story in the ashram. I think they used to show movies still. So there was this movie of Sati Anusuya, who is the wife of Rishi Atri. And Sati Anusuya, she is a very devout woman, very learned, but full of love. And she has love for all creatures, everything. And whosoever approaches her, out of her love, she transforms even that being, that small thing. So everybody in the god, in the realm of gods, the goddesses, they started becoming jealous. So what is this? So in order to, prove these goddesses and, to take care of whatever they were feeling, the three lords, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, they approach Anusuya. And they say you give us alms, but we are not ordinary. We are gods. So you have to feed us in the naked form, in your absolutely naked form. And she because of her love and because of this, she feels only love. So she says best way is she turns them into babies and then she feeds them. And when mother saw this movie, she laughed. She was very amused. She says only human beings are capable of this love. This love can turn gods into babies. So even Sri Aurobindo in Savitri, he says the white gods missed something. What is it that they missed? So all these there are different gods we keep on hearing of, but these gods are only some aspect of the divine, and they usually manifest in our personality. And according to, there are some say there are 365, the 365 elements that constitute our elements. In the pantheon of the Devta, it is 33 crores. So for every small element in us, there is a god. So, but the core of the human being is the psychic being. And the gods have this penchant, or this, you can say, fetish for testing. And human beings readily, they sacrifice everything. They offer everything. They are ready to give everything out of, whatever their love for the divine. And gods take that. So, each being is complete in itself because we have in our core the love that has been implanted in us. And all we have to do is bring it out, emanate, radiate. But first of all, the ground also has to be very ready. So we must completely identify with this love, and that is real effort, that is real yoga. So the gopis, and each one is complete in itself. So the gopis are not able to understand why Radha, on Krishna's departure, she is not lamenting, she is not crying and weeping like us. What is it that is she is totally unperturbed, and because she has Krishna in her and Krishna is in her. So she doesn't feel his absence at all. She is Krishnamaya. So that is the extent of love and the unity. So when we identify with the divine love and then share this love in the creation, we can do everything. And we can do everything in a far better way, in a far more beautiful way, in a far more affectionate way. All the divine qualities, then they start coming out. So Savitri people usually believe that when we turn towards the divine, and when we start feeling this in the Bhakti Yoga, when we start feeling this love for the divine, the outer worldwide activities nahi karna chahiye, So, but that is not right. That is an erroneous approach. So, Savitri tells Satyavan, when Satyavan, she brings him back from the jaws of death, then she tells him, I am still to you the same Madran Savitri. Nothing has changed, I am still. And heaven's love fulfills but cancels not our earth. So, ultimately, in the manifestation, the outpouring also, why it has to take place? Because of this, everything is moving Godward. And what is making it move Godward is this urge, this attraction for the divine, and this, that absolute self-giving. In absolute self-giving, everything has to go back to the divine. So, in that case, when we realize, when we see the self, the Lord, the beloved in you, then I am not expecting for a reciprocation or a return. I am seeing myself only in you. There is a very beautiful poem by Sri Aurobindo, Immortal Love, where he says this. But I have loved the self in you. So, my love will stay forever. It cannot go away. The mother goes on to say in the prayer, may thought be clarified, organized, enlightened, transformed by thy love. May all life forces, solely impregnated by thy love and molded from it, draw from it irresistible purity and constant energy, power and rectitude. So, highly mentalized beings, they have this problem, they see motives in everything. But people usually, when the mind has not taken over you, are able to feel this psychic love far better. So there is a difference between the knowledge that comes from love and the knowledge that comes from mind. So mind will compare, contrast, join, unite, break, analyze to reach the ineffable divine, formless divine. Love will simply bypass every process. It will just bypass this process. It will fuse with it. It will fuse with that object of love and declare, Raso Vaisaha, I am delight. So the power of purification, you go the knowledge way, you go the mind way, is a long process. Power of purification will first destroy and then transform. Love has got the power to transform directly. It is sublime. The mother has used this word in so many of her prayers. Sublime love. What is this sublime love? It can transfigure, it can transmute bypassing everything and take you to that resplendent splendor and that delight. So love has got the power that it can transform instantly. So in the journey of evolution, where does it first actually manifest? If we look at the development of the mammals, the reptiles, and Sri Aurobindo has given logical explanations for everything. When the reptiles are in the process of evolution of the early mammals and all, somewhere there is a stirring, there is an impulse, and some sort of emotion starts coming up. So, and this is the psychic element that comes in. Before that, as the nervous system is, there is some twitching and all that is there. But when the development of mammals takes place, there is this impulse that is there in the early. You can see it in dogs, elephants, horses. Dogs have so much of affection. So it is actually the psychic, the unadulterated psychic. And that is why one feels very attached to dogs. They are so affectionate. They can give up their lives also for you. Elephants can go and travel miles for their master. Even if you abuse them, one should never abuse. But even in that case, they are so loyal and they show that affection. So scientifically also, if one tries to see that the divine is becoming one, the one divine is becoming many. So what is that thread? What is that thing that is going to connect one being or one form of creation to another, and to another, and to another, and to the whole creation? So love is that sutra, love is that thread which binds the individual to the collectivity. It also binds the creation, entire creation. So at one level, there is a horizontal movement. It exists at every plane. And on the other hand, it also moves from the lower to the highest, or from the highest to the lowest. It is all the same. But there is an upward movement, there is a vertical movement, there is a horizontal movement. And it is the power, it is the only power that links everything to everything in the universe. Mother goes on to say, now here is something very powerful, she says. May this weakened intermediary being take advantage of its weakness to reconstitute itself with elements entirely molded from thy love, and may this body now, a burning brazier, radiate thy divine, impersonal, sublime, and calm love from every pore. So, how profound can it get? She is telling that even our weaknesses we can use, our ignorance we can use to gain that experience. And why that experience will come, why this weakness or the ignorance has come, to gather the elements through which it can grow, to which the psychic can grow. So Sri Aurobindo in Savitri also says a very powerful statement. It drinks experience like a strengthening wine. So the whole purpose of soul coming into ignorance and weakness is this, that fall into the abyss is also this, that some aspect of the divine has to manifest. And it has to come out in its purity. That's why the fall. And the greater the fall, the greater the rise. And it can get molded easily. In that weak, if the damage, or if you can say the rising was permanent, then there is no scope for any improvement or moving here and there. It is for the magic effect of love to take place and transform, some sort of you can say softness is there. And this softness becomes a strength. That is what the mother is trying to tell. Use the weaknesses, use the ignorance to rise greater. Don't be disheartened. Fall 1,000 times. 1,001 times I will come and pick you up. So, one of Sri Aurobindo's earliest disciples, Nolini Kanto Gupta, Nolinida as he is called referred to as in Pondicherry, he has, in one of his Bengali works, he has given a very beautiful description of the play of love in life. So first he says that there is a very narrow kind of, ignorant kind of a love which is there, full of sufferings, because we are looking for gains here and there. And so then we start crying, we start lamenting. And after all this lamenting and crying, when we hopeless, we give up and then we turn to the divine. And ye kya ho raha hai and all, and then turn to the divine. And then the second phase comes where there is again a narrowness that we described earlier also. The love turns towards the divine instead of looking here and there. And then the thing is that cut all the strings, turn only to the divine. That is the next higher level. And when we discover the divine, and then there is an outpouring of the same love, then one begins to see the divine in everything, and man starts loving man and everything around it. Otherwise, it is very difficult to love man. We feel a lot of love for plants, animals. Very difficult for man to love man, he says. So, you love a person for 2-3 days and you shower all your love. Third day you don't give and he will say, "Kya ho gaya? Aaj nahi, you are not so lovable now. What has happened?" So, loving man is a very difficult task. But, and because, why? Because there is so much of that self, that small ego self there, I, me, myself. A word, an act can slay the God, Sri Aurobindo says. So, and this is again a logic which death gives. What love are you talking of? This is a love, you say something or you have a fight and all, it will go, it will dissolve. So, but then again, Savitri counters that. So, in the earlier days, people used to caution that if you want to feel love for the divine, cut off all the strings. But what is the purpose of then all this? If you have to cut off all the strings and, not come back in all your fullness, what you have received, what is the point? So, radiate this love. This love has to come out. The mother is so full of love. She is radiating this love. Her body is radiating this love in her persona. It is, so it is a very profound truth which Sri Aurobindo and the mother have again and again said. Yoga is for the larger good. Love is for the larger good. You cannot stifle love. It is scattered everywhere. It is infinite. It is coming from the infinite, so it is infinite. How can you stifle it? You try to stifle it and see what happens. It will not. It will just burst out. So, when this love, if the love comes to this person, will it stop being love or will it stop with that person only? No, we have all experienced it. We fall in love or we love another person, we start loving everything about that person. So it emanates, it radiates. In one of the prayers in this prayers and meditations, mother has said, where she is traveling in a ship and she is praying for the people who were there in the ship with her and she is offering them. Then she is praying for all the people who are connected with these people. And so look at the way it's radiating, and in the human form. Then she starts praying for the inhabitants of the sea that is holding the vessel, the ship. And then she says, because everything is connected to everything else, so I offer the whole creation to you. Such is her love, so wide, radiating. Even in a small incident where she's traveling, she is emanating, she's giving out that love. And how it is so much of a pity. We are like vessels what turn, ulte pade hue hain. You just have to turn the vessel towards her and she'll pour out, she will fill it up with. So even if you are not open and turned up like this, still her love will touch you. But not to that extreme. You open up to her, just say Ma and it pours out. Such is her love. And somewhere in the Gita also, people say that Gita is about karma yoga, works, knowledge, and so many things as people generally understand it. But through and through it is love. Sri Aurobindo, he has written about integral God love. As he was in the essays of the Gita, in the last chapter, where he is actually summarizing, saar bata rahe hain wo Gita ka, he's summarizing the message of the Gita. He says, when the God lover is also the God knower, the lover becomes oneself with the beloved. Pure and divine passion of the presence of the beloved into your works. So knowledge and then work. So God lover turning into God knower is very important. Nothing can be denied to the God lover because he is the very self of the beloved. So pure and divine passion of the presence of the beloved into your works. Then he talks about works, love pouring into the works. See the beloved in the works. Beloved into your works brings insistent joy of labor of God in yourself and for God in all beings. So love is the crown of knowledge. Love is the crown of works. It is, and that is why, we see that so much of love, in spite of so much of darkness, wars, massacres, love has sprung out. And today we see there is so much of a churning, trying to bring back that, in that love. So many movements have erupted, the songs have changed, the quality of the songs, the quality of writings, the quality of meetings, the quality of groupings of the people have changed out of love. NGOs, we've never heard of this, but it is there. Songs like Imagine, The World is One, what it is coming from that urge, So that is why love has come in the end. Not so end as in terms of evolution, there is still further finer things coming, but yes, till now, it is the crowning moment. Mother goes on to say in the prayer, may the brain be reconstituted by thy love. So even the intellect has to turn towards this love. And then it will tell you exactly how to love and how to offer and how to radiate. The intellect has to be ready. Lastly, may thy love overflow. Look at the words and the sequence of the words. Lastly, may thy love overflow, flood, penetrate, transfigure, regenerate, animate all things with the power, the splendor, the sweetness and force which are its very own. Let your love overflow, flood, penetrate, transfigure, and experience this energy that is love in all its splendor. Thy love is peace. In thy love is joy. In thy love is thy servitor's sovereign lever of work. In thy love, when we offer everything, we do everything, we are doing everything, we know everything, still, unless we feel the beloved, unless we feel the Lord, unless we feel this love of the mother in the works, in the knowledge, in all that we know, in all that we give, it is not complete. We cannot experience that splendor. She is love. The last part of the prayer, she says, thy love is vaster than the universe and more lasting than all ages. It is infinite, eternal. It is thyself. And it is thyself I want to be, and that I am. For such is thy law, such is thy will. She says, thy love is vaster than the universe. And interestingly, 20 years later, maybe, if not more, Sri Aurobindo writes, her love is vaster than the universe. Is it a mere coincidence? No. That is why Sri Aurobindo, he established the God, you can say mother as the God. Mother as the primal force. So love is the most profound, the most potent power, one can say. It has the power to transform, and love is the most powerful of, you can say, an integral and total. It's integral of integral, you can say. But since it is so powerful, potent, and some amount of readiness, some amount of preparation is needed. Once a disciple in one of his letters, he wrote to Sri Aurobindo that if love is so powerful and so potent as you claim to be, why doesn't it come immediately? And he says that if love were to pour into this earth in all its fullness, the earth would blow up. Such is the power. So some amount of preparation is necessary. And it requires peace. First, Adhar Bele, it has to be very sturdy, it has to be strong. Peace is the first thing, peace established. Calling peace is not enough, establishing peace. Then equanimity, then wideness. Love cannot stay in a narrow heart. Sankirn hriday mein prem rahi nahi sakta. So it is, the wideness is required. Once a disciple, I think it was Sister Nivedita only, but I am not very sure, but Sister Nivedita, she asked Swami Vivekananda, what is love? So he opens his, apni hatheli khol dete hain. He opens his palm and he says, put a drop of water here. This is love. And then he closes it like this, and then the water goes away. Gayab. And he says, this is what happens. Love needs its is the widest power. It's the most potent power. It has to stay in wideness. It cannot narrow down. उसका nature ही नहीं है. So this is love. And mother, very strong statement coming from the mother. She says, they speak of the rights of love, but the only right of love is to give itself. And once the mother, she was explaining something from the Dhammapad. She propagated that because there are some very nice ways of living, she says, we can adapt from that Dhammapad. So she says that it is written in the Dhammapad that if someone treats you badly, you behave lovingly towards that person. So mother says that human beings are such that even when somebody is behaving lovingly towards them, they will not love that person. So, and she has said, mother has said that all life is love. And if we know how to live it. All life is love if we know how to live it. Sri Aurobindo says all life is yoga. And here my little brain, it finds this, little tidbits here and there. So if mother is saying all life is love, and Sri Aurobindo is saying all life is yoga, love of yoga. Yoga is love. Love. Feel that love. Be that love. So in Savitri, my favorite lines, but before that, again, few lines from Savitri again. Sri Aurobindo says, all suffering was its easy price. So when the supramental Godhead, the face, one could see the supramental Godhead's face, and he says that all suffering, this longing, this sorrow, this misery is a preparation for that. And once we see that, once we experience that, once that aha moment comes of the union of bliss and the bliss of union, and then you say, bas, itna hi dena tha. You feel that it is so little, and God so profound, so magnificent, so fascinating, a delight. Nothing can explain it, nothing can express it. And so it is, a preparation is required. Jigar Muradabadi there is a famous शेर you can say, ये इश्क नहीं आसान बस इतना ही समझ लीजिए, एक आग का दरिया है और डूब के जाना है, बट वही डूब सकता है जिसने तैयारी करी है. And now my favorite lines from Savitri, where Savitri is giving the message to the world. Awaken to the meaning of my heart, that to feel love and oneness is to live. And this, the magic of our golden change, is all the truth I know or seek, O sage. Sri Aurobindo's Gayatri Mantra, Savitri Mantra, says, Om Tat Savitur Varang Rupang Jyotihi Parasya Dhimahi Yannaha Satyena Deepayet. Let us meditate on the most auspicious form of Ma Savitri. Let the light of the divine illumine our minds with the truth. So what is the most auspicious form of the mother? Isn't it love? It's talking of. So it fills you up. This prayer is so profound and so intense. In fact, a few of her prayers, she has referred to love again and again and again in every prayer. Sublime love, thy love. It is not because these are mere words, they are living words. When she writes something, she is creating a contact with her own consciousness, with her own love. It's an outpouring of love. So, there is another very, let me end it with this. It is interesting and something to think about. खुसरो दरिया प्रेम का उल्टी वाकी धार, जो उबरा सो डूब गया, जो डूबा सो पार. Thank you.